Hi, I'm David O'Shea. I used to drive a taxi in New York City, and Gavin asked me to tell you a few stories from that time, and I said, no, I can't. I can't tell because what I can say on Sunday nights, I can't say on Saturday night in front of a GP audience. And he said, well, figure out how to say it. So I thought, okay, here's an idea. To tell a New York City story, there's always profanity, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to be the profane one so you can't yell at me. So when I get up to a word that you know is going to be bad, rather than saying it, I'm going to hold up my hand right before. When I get to the bad word, I'm going to point at you guys, and I want you guys to make the sound of a taxi honking. Can you do that? Try it. Honk. Honk. Pretty good. Now do it in an angry honk. There you go. Okay, well, we'll test it out. Mary had a little... What the are you looking at, pal? There you go, okay. Now here's the first story. There are only a few honks in it. First page is honkless, so don't worry about it. They're all true from my time. This is from my first year. Midtown East Side rush hour. I pull up in front of a 20-story apartment building on East 54th Street between Park and Lexington to drop off a fare. It's Midtown Manhattan, skyscrapers, high-rises all around, people walking on the street, and it's the beginning of rush hour, which means the traffic's a mess. The streets are crowded, they're slow-moving, and I'm blocking one lane of three-lane East 54th Street, but I don't care, I'm just dropping off, only be there a minute. My fare's paying me, and I see, inching up on my right, this guy in a big white car. He has a little pencil-thin mustache, little tie, cream suit. Pulls up in front of me in an angle, and he stops. My fare gets out, and I try to pull away, but I can't because this guy in the white car is blocking me. So I toot my horn, beep, 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 and the guy in the white car turns off his engine. What's he doing? I don't know what he's doing. So I think, honk, honk, honk. Nothing. I roll down my window, I say, hey, buddy, come on, you can't stay there, come on, move it, okay? Nothing. So, beep! And he turns around annoyed, and he points at the door of the high-rise like he's waiting for someone who hasn't come down yet. Can't I see that? Well, everybody's angry now, honk, honk, but he's above it all, and he picks up a newspaper and starts to read it. Just then, I hear from behind me, son of a... Good. And out of the van, I look in my mirror, there's a guy, blue t-shirt, muscly, skull cap. He strides out past my taxi, goes to the front of the white car, and he slams his fist into the hood. And he says, hey, Bam, what the am I chopped liver? You can... There you go. You're done with your hugs. Great. Good for you. And then he takes the front of the white car and he picks it up and he bounces it up and down. And he says, move it out now. Bam, bam, bam. Guy in the white car, he's shaking now. He starts his car, gets the heck out of there. Skullcap walks back toward his van and he sees me looking at him. He comes up to my window. He leans in and he says, and that's the way it's done. He goes into his van, and I take off, enter the stream of traffic, and I'm happy now. I'm privileged. I have just heard the classic chopped liver phrase used in context and by a professional. And that's the way it's done. Thank you. Thank you. Well, this next story is a little longer, but I'm making it abbreviated, and I cut it out so you don't have to honk. This is from my last year, called Diane. 2 a.m. Monday morning in the cold spring. It had rained earlier, and I could hear my wheels cut through it, as I headed down Lexington Avenue in a swarm of empty cabs hunting a fare. At 54th Street, I spot a woman block away moving from the curb into the street. I jump the light to get closer, wave at her through my open window. I honk, and she waves at me. Great, she wants me, got her, great. Then another cab cuts the crosstown light, stops and turns and right in front of her. Just there, he's a thief. He's a checker cab, which then is a big old cab, nice, big, roomy. And I have a little Dodge Aspen. So I thought, I've lost her. But she points at me like I saw her first, and she shoos away the checker. Light changes, I ease up to her, say, thanks for waiting. It's okay, she says, gets in the back. She's in her 20s. She's a thin, pale black woman, hair straightened, permed. She's wearing brown leather pants. Disco fair, I think, maybe. She says, I want to go to the Blimpies at 48th and 2nd, then wait, then Times Square. Okay, I say, hold on. Throw my clipboard down, take off left on 52nd Street over to 2nd Avenue, and I'm looking at the mirror while I'm driving her. She's looking outside, and she's pretty. And as I look at her, my stomach tenses up, and the back of my neck prickles in a very specific alarm. And I say to my neck, nah, I don't think so. And my neck hackles go, mm-hmm. I said, no, I don't think so. And I say to her, it's cold tonight. She said, yeah, it's cold out there. I say, yeah, it's slow too. And she laughs. She goes, slow, you telling me? And I think, oh, damn, my neck's right. She's a hooker, too bad. But I say to her, thanks again for waiting. So I turned on to 2nd Avenue, river of traffic at 2 a.m. We turn down, we go down 4 blocks to 48th Street, stop at the building that has Blimpies as its ground floor restaurant, lots of windows to look around. She says, I'll be back just a minute, crosses out of the cab, goes into the Blimpies. I light a Marlboro, and I thought, what am I going to do? I'll watch what she's doing. So I look into the Blimpies. There's a young guy working at the counter, Puerto Rican looking. He's black hair, beefy. He's wearing Blimpie whites and an apron. And my fare's talking to her, but she's changed. She's acting like a little girl. She stands in front of the counter. She swings her leg back and forth, smiling up at the Blimpie boy, leaning down, giggling, smiling at him. He's very sweet. And the Blimpie boy is pouring Cokes. He looks stiff, but he's smiling. He's talking to her. And I watch him for 3 minutes, and he looks around and gives her a little kiss. She leaves, but she looks back over his shoulder and waves at him. Walks across the sidewalk, gets into my taxi, and I sit up. I say, Times Square, right? And she says, 46th Street, just off Broadway, gives me the name of a hotel I've never heard of. And I've been driving a taxi for 5 years. I wait for a break in traffic. I cut across 2nd Avenue, right on 47th Street, and I drive for a minute. And I say, nice guy. Huh? That guy in the Blimpies, nice guy, it looks like. Oh yeah, he real nice. He just moved here, he knew. He real sweet. It's silent for a block or two, and then I hear something. I look in the mirror, and she's crying. I don't butt in, I just drive. But I watch her in the mirror, though. The streetlights are flashing on her face. Sad, wet. I come up to 5th Avenue. I say to her, excuse me, are you okay? I don't have a handkerchief, but I have a napkin. It's clean. She takes my napkin. wipes her face and starts to talk. She met this blimpy boy, Frederico, I think. She met him just after he moved here from San Juan 2 months ago. And he was sweet to me, so sweet and so handsome. What do you think? I agree. We turned left on Broadway 7th, left again on 46th Street, rundown hotel on the right. I say, is this it? She nods. I pull over, stop the meter. She's been talking about how he'd like to marry her. His mother lives in the Bronx, and he wants them to meet. He wants to show her off to his family. And she says, he doesn't know what I do, and cries. I've been hooking since I was 16, and I thought I knew everything. But then I met this boy, and I fell in love. Fell in love, I repeat, but I don't get it. Yeah, I thought I knew what that was, but I didn't. Now I'm in love for the first time. What am I gonna do? Well, every whore with a heart of gold story, or fallen woman with a past, has a broken heart or a lost love at the beginning of everything. But they're not true. The truth is in the back of my taxi saying, what am I gonna do? And sometimes, because you want to give something and you don't have anything to give, you look into the realm of absurdity and you look for magic. In the taxi, I had a feeling that sometimes when things were right, that I had a special power. I had the power to give luck. And so that's what I told her now. I couldn't see what was going to happen, couldn't see the future, but that I could give her luck. She bowed her head, and I reached through the partition. I put my hand on her forehead and said, what's your name? Diane. Luck to Diane. She grabbed my hand, thank you, shook it, looked at the meter, paid, and then she went into the hotel, and I drove back into the night. Thank you. Oh, before I leave, they wanted me to say something about Chewstick. What Chewstick is to me, well, 33 years ago, I interviewed old Bermudians here, but the first person I ever interviewed was 33 years ago. In my taxi was this piano player, Lance Hayward. Lance Hayward, extraordinary piano player, and he had said to me that he had to leave here, I think because people wanted him to keep playing Yellow Bird, and he was a jazz pianist. So just like this musician we saw before me, Paul Smith, here was a man with extraordinary talent who didn't have a place that let him be big. Well, that's what Chewstick is to me, a place where you can be as big as you can be. Thank you.